Let's continue with the next speech, which will be given by former State Senator of South Carolina, Mr. Theo Mitchell. And his speech has the title, "The Man Who Should Have Been President of the United States."
I certainly want to say that it's a pleasure being here, being amongst old friends, those who were victims of the rocket docket, and some of us who went to jail anyway. Arthur Slinger, Dennis, and all the sacrifices they made as far as working with land and still with the movement. I want to say it's a pleasure being here in the presence of the distinguished and honorable Helga LaRouche. Among many of you, the supporters who took it upon yourselves to pressure the Department of Justice for the release of Lyndon in 5 years, notwithstanding some of the indignities that he had to suffer and the adherence to a probation that he never broke, even with FBI agents in his midst and in the movement. So we all understand that he was a dangerous man as far as politics in the United States was concerned, that was reaching across the water, touching a whole lot of people. A man before his time. That's in essence what he was. A man born before his time. One of the greatest prognosticators that this century has ever enjoyed having. I'm honored to be here in Frankfurt to commemorate the life of one of the world's greatest prognosticators of any of our lives, Dr. Lyndon LaRouche. No matter as to how one may have felt about him in the past while maybe down, Lyndon had a way to lift us up. With a photographic memory in mind, Lyndon told us the reality of our existence, quote, to be kind to each other. He was a Christian gentleman and exemplified it every conference that I attended. Whether or not it was the reality of our existence in a, quote, a moral lag in the development of the nation in the heart of America, per the writing of Dr. Gunnar Myrdal, a Swedish philosopher. The Negro Problem, in his book, An American Dilemma, acknowledged the circumstances as to our existence. If I may deviate just a second, his philosophy was that in exposing a continuing undercurrent in regards to the Department of Justice and the FBI, and that was to control the black in politics, among others. Time after time, Lynn, as we called him, championed the cause of the many regarding the collapse of the morally and defensible practices wholly inconsistent with the United States Constitution, even going to prison for such. His head may have been blooded, but it was never bowed. Lynn begged for nothing from anybody, and he even refused to relax his feet from the prison shoes he was made to wear for 5 years while incarcerated. Prison boots, very uncomfortable, I know, I wore them. Lynn knew something had to be done to correct patent wrongs. The question was, by whom? Thus the LaRouche movement. Now understand we're talking about a foundation. Another move up the ladder, which infected thousands, then and now with the, quote, the right stuff. No, Helga, some of us will never forget having been taught by Lynn that in the end, people like Don Fowler, the former chairman of the Democratic National Committee, will too pay for the jealousy in denying Lynn his righteous place on ballots in various and sundry states that he had won, who in my opinion was the best candidate for the office of President of the United States of America. He and his cronies kept Lynn off the ballot as a candidate in the election years of 1980, 84, 88, 92, 96, and 2000. Now, I'm talking about Don Fowler. You can quote me on that in the paper. Call his name. Even though he always received matching funds, he was a legitimate candidate, having won primaries in Louisiana, additionally in 2000 in Arkansas, wherein he took, Fowler that is, took Lynn's delegates and gave them to Al Gore. I think some of y'all might remember that, who never took the state of Arkansas, Bill Clinton's state, as he refused to support from the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton. Consequently, he lost that state and eventually lost the presidency. Former United States Attorney General Ramsey Clark, who later represented Lynn, as well as I, after getting out of jail, said that Lynn had, quote, courage and resilience. Further, he went on to say that Lynn had great integrity and honorable standing, that he only wanted to improve America, not destroy it. Mr. Clark went on to say that the Democratic National Committee under Fowler was underhanded, hypocritical, backstabbing, and clandestine in keeping Lynn off the ballots in several states that he won. Lyndon, having passed this way, appears to have been, quote, divinely inspired. For example, his prediction on the health care that eventually came has some true, and his prediction on the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which essentially paved the way for the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which gave me and other people who look like me the right to vote. Caused the United States Constitution to be upheld. He made the Constitution speak. Lynn further attacked Jim Crow in the South, which came true as a result of his work. We now have more black elected members of legislative bodies around the United States since Reconstruction. Eventually, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Operation Fruhmenschen Doctrine, which means primitive man, ape man. That was their doctrine to prosecute and persecute the black man and woman, of course. Was a mechanism that killed off black elected officials, believing that they were inferior intellects, having no morals or character, and that the white majority should honor or respect. This came to light by Lynn. Black elected officials were being systematically investigated under indictment or incarcerated in gross numbers. Helga, there must always be the effort to exonerate Lynn. For he did nothing wrong except tell the truth and do the right thing, for which evildoers could neither accept nor understand. They put Satan up there, I believe. And he fought Satan very effectively. This challenge of Wall Street seemingly was the straw that broke the camel's back when he attacked the International Monetary Fund, laid at the feet of Wall Street, where the greedy or sinister individuals seemingly conspired to destroy him. His attacks on the housing industry and social policies were even attacked by his own Democratic Party. Lynn, too, predicted the fall of the Berlin Wall. Great prognosticator. In closing, I want to say that it's very difficult to talk about a man that was a real man without stepping on some other toes or duplicating what some of the things have been said. We gather here today to honor a real man whose life was dedicated to helping his fellow man, who displayed unexpected courage in very trying times. Yes, even now, Lynn's work isn't over. Time has proven and will continue to prove that he was right, and his people will eventually enjoy his having been here amongst us. So was Lyndon LaRouche's greatness for the United States of America. One day he'll be appreciated. The answer is yes, and it has manifested itself many times over. Time I have here, of course, is too short to enumerate all of his successes, and I believe that the former Prime Minister has done an excellent job in outlining some of the things that Lynn did. But the main thing is that in praising Lynn, we cannot forget a lady who stood by him and was chief in contributing to his success. That was Helga LaRouche, who should have been one of the first ladies if not the Chancellor of Germany. God bless you.